36, right? I think, if I remember correctly. Alright. Alright. First, we're going to go over what you need to know for the AP exam.
Yeah.
So we need to remember that women are property according to anti-feminist Phyllis Schlafly.
Man. Ocean man.
Have you guys seen those?
It's so loose.
Have you guys seen those TikTok memes about the women saying that women are property?
Yeah, I like those. I always double tap.
They're funny because they're joking.
Are they though?
Really? Are they in a situation to be joking from the kitchen?
Hey
Well, I don't
boys,
think you're
just
in a
wanted y'all to
situation
know
to be
that you're doing
joking about
great for
this.
No November, and don't worry about us women. We're keeping the dishes done and the sandwiches made. Good luck, soldiers.
October
Yikes.
61 days.
Like, that's so funny. Because it's a joke.
What are jokes?
It's funny because women are making the joke too.
That's funny.
Alright, boys. Chapter
It's funny
13.
how we haven't started yet.
The rise of shut the fuck up, Nathan. The rise of a max democracy. All right. So, how many of you guys want me to just send you the reading test now and the answer key, or do you want me to sit here and read you the notes that I took?
Both. Let's see how bad I can
I'm not sending you the reading test because I told Mr. J that I wouldn't do that. He knows I used them. Okay.
How does he know?
Respectable.
Why does he know? Because he asked me if I used them.
Oh.
It's a way of studying.
Because we were talking about. He said he doesn't care, Chris. I'm getting DM'd right now.
I mean, I use
No,
them.
he only asked me, and I said that I use them, but I don't send them to anyone, which is true.
I use them, but I still get good on the unit test, so it's fine.
Yeah, I got an A on this one.
It's just
Yeah,
an
I got
extra
minus
layer
8.
of studying.
All right, let's all remember John Quincy Adams went on morning swims naked in the Potomac River.
Potomac.
It said mornings. That's it.
Is he related to the crusty man John Adams?
No. Yes.
Oh. Yes, I believe so. Let me
Yes.
look. John. Why are there so many Johns?
There's also a bunch of Georges. Okay, we must commence. this
1
session.
second.
Michael, would you like me to start it off?
No, hold on. Just one more second. We'll start like in the next minute, I guarantee.
Why?
So I was playing Cops and Robbers.
Alrighty.
And I died.
Alright, so alright, so remember the last chapter was Era of Good Feelings? Remember the Era of Good Feelings ended with the Missouri Compromise and the Panic of 1819. Those
Right.
two events. And in this time period, this chapter, we're going to notice that economic distress and slavery raised political stakes in the 1820s, 1830s. That's this chapter. And we had this is also a new chapter of American politics. So there was new parties, new styles of campaigning. Parties were now politically and socially normal and accepted. And parties became an important part of the checks and balances system. You guys understand why that makes sense, right? Or no?
Yep.
Because the other party would check the other one. Like
Mhm.
CNN checks Donald Trump and claims that he was a bad guy. Anyways, Europe became more democratic over time too, which is kind of important because European affairs affect American affairs a lot. All right, let's examine the corrupt bargain of 1824. So we had 4 candidates run for president in 1824, right? If you do that again, I'm banning you. John Quincy Adams from Massachusetts, Andrew Jackson from Tennessee, Henry Clay from Kentucky, and William Crawford from Georgia. And these were all, like, they named themselves as Republicans. And political parties were still fuzzy at this time, though. That's why they were all Republicans. And one example of this is John C. Calhoun was supposed to be vice president for 2 of these candidates. Like, what the fuck? Okay. So Andrew Jackson campaigned against government corruption He was a common man, is what he claimed to be, but he's actually a rich fuck, so that's a lie. But he campaigned against government corruption and appealed to the common man. Clay supported Adams as Speaker of the House, and this is where the Crop bargain starts. So basically what happened was none of the presidents received a majority vote. All right, Andrew Jackson was in the lead with 42%, but a majority is above 50, and that wasn't there. So the House of Representatives takes over. Clay was the least popular of the four, so he was removed altogether. And Crawford got sick, so he decided to step out.
He
So it
had a
was,
stroke.
yeah, and it was Andrew Jackson versus John Quincy Adams. Clay was the Speaker of the House. I hope you guys all know what that is. I'm not going to explain it to you. And he quickly threw his support behind Adams just because he disliked Andrew Jackson. And then Adams appointed Clay as the Secretary of State, and this is crucial because the Secretary of State role was seen as a stepping stone. Every single president in the history of the U.S., with the exception of George Washington, at this time period, had been Secretary of State prior to becoming president. And obviously George Washington wasn't because he's the one that invented the cabinet, so yes. Note that there was no evidence of an actual bargain or transaction, but corruption has set a precedent. Said the selection of the president was now seen as an elitist, furtive, and subversive of democracy. So, any of you guys confused on what happened during the Crop bargain, or no? Because it's not that hard. Okay. Any of you guys confused or no? It's not hard. All right, good. None of you are retarded. All right, a Yankee misfit in the White House. So, John Quincy Adams was a great Secretary of State, but a terrible president. Okay, he was one of the least successful in American history, and he was a minority president too, who did not possess the arts of a politician. He was not a good politician, and he was seen as corrupt because of the bargain that had happened. People knew about it, and they were like, "What the?" And he was just an introverted loser who commanded respect. That's how he got office and support. And Adams refused to make room in government jobs for supporters. Consequently, they doubted their loyalty. They wanted jobs and stuff, and he was like, "No, sorry, that's bad." So Adams' nationalist views in a time of states' rights and sectionalism gave him further trouble in office. So he was a nationalist, but people were not nationalists at this time. Because remember, the era of good feelings had ended, so people were not super nationalist anymore. And Indians in Georgia were wanted gone, and Adams wanted to be fair to them, and Georgia threatened to resort to violence. That's one example of them debating against him and showing that they don't support him. So they were willing to go over what he said, and all this lowered national will and power, and the federal government lost influence, especially as a result of the Georgia thing. Okay. So next section, going whole hog for Jackson in 1828. So Jackson began his next campaign in 1825, basically immediately after he lost the House. And after Adams, and this was after Adams' election by the House, yeah, that's what I just said. Jackson was known as a Democratic Republican, and Adams was known as a National Republican, which would later be called the Whigs, and the Democratic Republicans, just the Democrats. Jackson was again known as the common man. He was a frontiersman, etc., because he was from the West. Where Adams was seen as a corrupt aristocrat who had thwarted the will of the people with his bargain. So basically, people were saying, "Oof, we wanted a Jackson. Now you're in here because of your corrupt bargain." And they're like, "What the?" But Jackson was actually a wealthy planter, and Adams' strict morals meant he wasn't corrupt. This was a political hyperbole. They were exaggerating, both of them. Adams was ridiculed of everything he did. His salary, what he bought with his own money, and accused of being a pimp. He was accused of being a pimp. In 1830 era, he was accused of being a pimp. Political center of gravity shifted west over time because people had supported Jackson, and they were mostly in the West. So the West started to gain a lot of influence and power. Just a show of hands, how many of you guys are paying attention?
How are we
I'm
going to
muted.
give a show of hands?
All right. If you're not paying attention, say me.
Me.
What
Nathan,
the?
Nathan,
I'm muted. Please
you're
help.
getting banned.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see you try and ban me.
If I leave, the server dies. Old Hickory, or aka Jackson, as president. So Jackson was known as Old Hickory. We're gonna call him Jackson because I'm not retarded. So some background info on him. He had been through disease and he got shot twice. Okay, he's still alive to this day. He's in Tupac with Cuba. He's in Tupac with Cuba. Yeah.
He's in Tupac with Cuba.
Yeah. His I can't read that. His lenient parents. He had lenient parents, so he often fought and was a bad student. He would
He
fight with
said
people.
he
and
was orphaned.
Yes, so he had a poor education. He was born in Carolina and he moved to Tennessee. He became a judge and a congressman, so he had some political experience. Jackson rose from the masses as their symbol. And their symbol rose too. So the masses and the common man. People crowded the White House as it was open to the public, and some people wanted to hurt him. And some traditionally thought this similar to the French Revolution, or people trying to overthrow government and stuff. So just know Jackson was a poor man at first, or not at first, but like he was not very educated. Jason, you're getting banned.
What?
Stop making noise.
I thought I was muted.
Hey, I'm
Stop
here
making
for you
noise!
guys.
Sorry.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm real good. I'm doing my 8-push homework still. Started from morning, still haven't finished. Keep distracting myself.
Yeah, I started yesterday because this chapter was so long. Chapter 14 is also really long.
All right, I'll let you
I
continue.
finished this
Go
one in
ahead.
like 4 hours.
Alrighty. So the spoil system. Remember, libtards were always suspicious of the government. Back then, the libtards were not the libtards. They were known as the Democrats. And the spoil system was a method to reward I have to, like, you know how like you feel like you're out of breath, but you can't breathe?
Just
I
breathe.
feel so fat right now from eating buddies. Okay. So people supported spoil system. Okay. Oh, sorry. I have to tell you what the spoil system is. It was a method. Okay. When you guys read, you'll see words in bold. Please go to the glossary and figure out what they mean, because I guarantee you half of you don't know what the fuck you're reading. So please go to the glossary and look at them. Anyways, the spoil system was a method to reward political supporters with office. So if you supported him, it was like, hi, you get a job now. Hillary Clinton, Obama. So career politicians, people supported the spoil system because it brought in new people. It's like career politicians and bureaucrats who would stay in office their whole life or getting kicked out. And people looked down upon those kind of guys. So Washington D.C. was due for a cleaning anyway, but the spoil system was mostly actually to help Jackson. It wasn't mostly to help the people get new jobs. He did it because he wanted his own people supporting him in government. So it was a selfish thing. The spoil system was crucial as it inspired many people to choose a party, often because patronage. People were promised jobs if their party candidate was elected. So this set a precedent for loyalty, even blind loyalty. Libtards this day. To join parties. So this helps solidify parties. Remember, this time period, parties are becoming solidified, and it's for multiple reasons. Here's one. Just another quick thing. Do libtards even realize that they're like retarded?
What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that?
I think I'm just having a little bit of a
I think
hating against libtards because of.
Michael's just having a reaction to earlier when he was
Yeah,
texting someone.
I'm getting really annoyed. Nathan, I'm getting really annoyed at what happened.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like it's bothering me a lot. Like there's no way that was so dumb.
What happened?
Would you like to? Would you?
Dante, do you know what happened?
No one else knows what
It
happened.
was us, Brandon, Jaden.
It was us, Brandon, and I'll tell you later, Dante. Yeah, you need to know. It actually pissed me off so severely.
It was so dumb.
It was so fucking stupid.
Michael,
Anyway,
you should have done what I said.
I'm not gonna tell everyone just because it's not fair to the person. But
Fuck. Dante,
Then don't bring it up.
Tyler, you can know though. I'll tell you later. Anyways,
About me,
Okay.
Mikey.
fuck you, Andrew. I'll tell you later too. All right, let's talk about the tariffs. So the tricky tariff of abominations. So tariffs. Obama dies in. Okay.
I'm joking. I'll mute.
Okay. Tariffs are kind of two-sided. So the first thing is they protect domestic manufacturing and stuff, but they drive up the cost of goods. So
We also
the North
forgot,
and Middle
you
support.
also
Shut the
forgot.
fuck up. Shut
no,
up.
No. The spoils system allowed, or was very corrupt because it allowed for embezzlement.
That's what I said. It was a
What-
selfish thing to help Jackson get his people in.
Yeah, you dumb kiddo.
You even pay attention to what I say?
Well, partially.
I still gotta read the Mockingbird 1 through 7.
All right. Andrew's still catching up on his summer homework, everyone. Round of applause.
Oh, fuck that. No, I'm not doing that.
All right. So they drive the cost of goods. The North and Middle obviously supported them because they were manufacturing, but the South didn't because now they had to buy manufactured goods already instead of producing their own, and now it costed more. I have to burp. Okay. So this tariff had huge rates, and the New South was like, "What the?" Because they don't want to pay that much money for new products. And the reason goods drive up is because American manufacturing just costed more because it wasn't as developed and they couldn't do it as cheaply. And then other nations would place retaliation tariffs on them, like, they're like, "Oh, you're driving your prices up. We're gonna drive ours up too, dumbass." So that happened.
Was this in the
So the South was very angry. They were like, "What the? I don't want to do this." So this foreshadows federal interference of slavery. They thought, well, they're messing with manufacturing. What if they start messing with slavery? So the South Carolina exposition, which was written by Calhoun secretly, stated that the tariff was unconstitutional and unfair, and states were like, "Nope, sorry, we're removing it. I don't want to follow this." It's called nullification. So we learn about the nullies in South Carolina now, and the tariff of 1832, also known as the Tariff of Abominations, tried to calm down angry Southerners. Oh no, sorry, this was the one after the Tariff of Abominations. So the tariff of 1832 tried to calm down the angry Southerners, but it was still an overprotected tariff. The prices were still too high compared to even with the other one. So the Southerners also believed that the federal government would want this one to be a permanent tariff, and this deepened the nullification crisis. And state legislature declared this tariff void, and they wouldn't follow it, and they threatened secession if the feds tried to collect it through force. So Andrew Jackson was the biggest meat man of the West, and he did not approve of South Carolina's actions. And he prepared a military, right? Just snap. Ethan Patch. Anyways, he prepared a military. He's like, "You know what? You boys are going to have to pay up." So Henry Clay, remember, Henry Clay never dies. He's still alive in Tupac. He's alive in Tupac, chilling with Cuba on the beach. And Henry Clay, even though he was an enemy of Jackson and a supporter of the tariff, he swooped in with a compromise because he didn't want the nation to fall apart over this. So this would gradually lower the tariff rate by 10% over 8 years.
What was the compromise?
It would lower the tariff rates by 10% over 8 years. Was it 8 years or 10 years? The book
What?
says 8, but the glossary says 10, so I don't really know.
Oh,
Just know it would reduce the rates over time, okay? And South was like, "All right, sure, we'll take this. We'll take
10%
this."
over 8.
Yes, Andrew!
Thank you.
So alongside the compromise, the tariff, this was known as the compromise tariff of 1833. So alongside the compromise tariff of 1833, the force bill was passed, or proposed anyway. And the federal government, basically what this said is the federal government could use the military to collect federal duties if necessary. And the force bill was later nullified because it was stupid. And neither Jackson nor the Nullies enjoyed a clear victory. And Clay was the true hero right now because he saved the nation from falling apart.
What was
I know that this issue will later return as the problem hadn't been completely solved. All right, new topic. Let's talk about the Indians.
Wait. I have a question.
Can we
Okay.
just take a moment to realize David's playing Roblox during this?
Oh, I'm AFK. Leave me alone.
Dan.
I'm playing Roblox as well.
So I like Roblox. All right. So
Wait, David.
I'm pretty sure I have a picture of my. Oh, never mind.
what's the difference between the 1832 tariff and the 1828 tariff?
1832 tariff was slightly lower than the 1828 because the Southerners were like, "Sorry, this is too high." So like, "All right, we'll make it a little bit lower." But the South still didn't like it because it was still high rates, and they thought this was going to be like a permanent tariff. They're like, "What the?"
Is it the same thing? Like on the same thing, just lower?
Pretty much, yeah, slightly lower.
What was the compromise tariff of 1833 again?
Compromise tariff 1833 would keep the rates high, but over time they would graduate. They would lower over time by a lot. So it'd just be like it'd be a tariff similar to that of 1816, which was lower rates. And remember, a tariff collects taxes on imports.
Imported goods.
Let's talk about Indians now.
Oh,
Oh, what, David?
I just wanted to say that you're cute.
I know I am.
I say it first.
Shut up, loser. Kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Can we take a moment to like talk? Like, there's no girls in here. Where's the bottom?
David joined me.
Sarah Shemansky joined us for one session.
Then she
Oh,
failed the
shit.
test.
Isn't
I
she
actually
good?
don't know.
That was for the debates.
Boys, how are we doing in the NNN?
Yeah, we need
Um,
females up in this bitch.
No,
But we have one female, A-Push alumni,
Who is
We do?
the thotty?
Lillian
The
Zug.
Our.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah, never.
It's
that doesn't
Lillian.
count.
Oh yeah. What happened to Lily?
Huh? We're friends in German. Lily and I are actually like best friends.
Where's Martin?
Martin's at a retard school making up lost credits. he failed all his classes.
Oh my god.
So he's at a retard school making up. He's basically still a sophomore.
Oh shoot.
Why is he a retard?
He failed all his classes.
How though? Like why?
I don't understand either. How do you fail every single class?
David, join.
Like,
join
is he
my
like
game.
not trying, or is he actually dumb?
Join mine,
He's dumb.
No, I'm playing Cops versus Robbers.
Oh,
bro. I
Really?
beat that game.
Actually good in German too.
I'm gonna
Join.
ban both of you. Stop playing.
I'm sorry.
I'm just
alright,
AFK.
getting off now.
I'm just
getting
AFK.
off now.
Bro, I swear, just I'm AFK. Don't worry
You're not
about it.
gonna stay for the session?
I
All
am
right,
staying
let's
for the
let's keep
session.
going. Shut
Listen.
up. Let's talk about Indians now. Everybody's favorite topic.
Wait, what was the fourth bill?
Don't
The
worry
one
about it.
with
It's
the-
not on the test. I looked at the test already. It might be on the test. I don't remember. Basically, it said the federal government could go in with guns and shoot people if they don't if they refuse to pay taxes.
They can
Those
send the
are
government, or they can send the military.
Shut up,
to collect
Nathan.
the
Mine was
tax.
funnier. Is it on the test? I didn't actually look at the test. I just made the quiz. I need to study it. Well, okay. The force bill, government goes in with the military. They're like, pay taxes or you die. And then they start shooting people if they don't.
What about black people?
Black people don't have rights. They don't have to pay taxes.
Oh, sweet. It pays to be black, huh?
That's a hate crime.
Okay, yeah.
For sure, for sure. Fucking loser. Hate crime.
All right, let's talk about Indians now, please.
Yes, to me, Ruth. All right, let's.
Oh yeah, Chris, I need you to tell me, why have you been mean to me lately? Do you hate me lately? Did I do something to bother you?
Chris hates everything.
Like you've just been like really mean to me in math. Like you don't laugh at my jokes anymore, and you like call me a dumbass unironically.
He's stressed.
Yes, you do. It actually made me so sad.
He calls me a dumbass all the time.
I think you're just jealous that I use the box method and you don't.
It's just-
Oh, he's shooting shots
math?
now.
Yeah,
Ouch.
Matt, I use the box method.
If you use
Oh, wait,
okay,
Michael-
in the words of
Michael?
Chris, you're a mouth breather.
I did that in my 5th hour. Shahir.
Michael.
Shahir, do you want the answers? I'm not giving it to you. That's academic dishonesty. Yes, David?
I think we should all post our Mr. Potato Heads in the chat and see whose is the best.
Oh yeah, for mine, for the coloring, I just wrote the color all over it. So,
Same.
like, the correct answer was brown, so I just wrote brown in like every single one.
No, it was
What if you
blue.
don't have one? I don't
It
have
wasn't blue.
It was
No, it was
blue.
black.
It was not blue.
Black?
It was brown. Yeah, I just wrote the word.
Let's grab it out.
It was not blue. It was brown.
I'm
No.
blue. If I was green, I would die.
I know because I did it in 5 minutes, so I'm right.
I just did it.
What are y'all talking about?
My
All right, we'll talk about math later. Let's talk about A push right now. Then we can talk about math. Come on.
Yeah, let's talk about the Indians.
Tony J.
Let's talk about those damn Indians. Come on.
Yeah, fucking filthy.
Yeah, we're not talking about chem. Shut the fuck up. We'll do a chem session tomorrow. Easy. Oh, you know, Discord is becoming the AP World History Discord next year.
Okay.
Yep.
I
Same
hope all of you
Discord.
take AP World, or else you're retarded.
I will. Can I be in your class, Michael?
For everyone taking, yeah, we'll do AP Gov as well.
What about
Isn't
faculty
Miss
law?
Matusik the teacher?
Okay,
No.
I heard Miss Matusik has Down syndrome, so I don't know.
She does.
It's them all.
Oh,
Willard is
Willard
gone.
is
is gone.
retired.
Yeah,
Willard is a sub at Western.
yeah, but World History is easy. You just need to use the
No,
textbook.
not.
If I can teach
AP
myself
World
everything
is
in A
easy.
push, I can teach myself everything in World.
If I do good by the end of the year, I'll go into another.
No, in
AP.
World we actually get lectures.
Yeah, but Miss.
Yeah, but I don't
Matusik
even.
is-
Okay, shut up, guys. I want to talk about the Indians.
Sorry, Michael.
Then let's talk about the Indians.
All right, Shahir,
Shahir,
you're not an
you're
Indian.
Pakistani,
All right.
be quiet.
So the Trail of Tears. As Democrats looked to expand to the west, conflicts with the native arose. All right, so they needed their land, and this was only allowed by a treaty. The whites had violated their own treaties for a long time, however.
Slower.
What an asshole.
The whites admired the Indians, though, and sought to assimilate them and Christianize. One example is the Society for Propagating the Gospel Among Indians. This was 1787. But they were still racist. Some Indians, like the Cherokees, notably, and the Creeks and the Choctaws and the Chickasaws and the Seminoles, which is known as the Five Civilized Tribes, were so similar to white societies, they even had constitutions, branches of government, and slavery. They had slavery. Andrew Jackson
Bad.
was a racist, though, and he wanted the land, so he ordered the removal of Indians, and the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Indians 3 times. The Indians were like, "No, you can't do this. We have a treaty." And the Supreme Court was like, "Yeah, you can't do this." And Andrew Jackson was like, "Sorry, but you don't have the military. I do, so I don't give a fuck."
But I can.
Ooh. Fat bastard.
World history is hard because people don't realize that the only thing that matters is religion and how religion shaped societies. That's what world history is all about.
Ew, I don't want to take that.
World is.
Guys,
Other
can you
AP
guys
classes?
please let Michael teach?
Yes. So the Indian Removal Act of 1830 was unconstitutional, but it was passed. Well, it wasn't unconstitutional. It was just like wrong.
Hey, Michael, your best friend's here.
Okay, so it removed over 100,000 people from the Mississippi River area. The 5 civilized tribes suffered the heaviest blows, ironically. Many Indians died along the Trail of Tears to new land where they wouldn't be messed with again, in quotes, but that land would only last about 15 years. You had the Black Hawk War in Illinois and Wisconsin. This was Indian resistance, or they were trying to reclaim land, and they were brutally crushed in this fight. The Seminoles retreated to the Everglades with runaway slaves, and they engaged in guerrilla warfare. Now, the Bank War. Talk about the Bank War. Jackson didn't hate all banks, but he did hate the monopolistic ones and the huge businesses. So did his followers. And specifically, he hated the Bank of the United States. Why? The bank minted only gold and silver coins, but paper money was printed by private banks. And the bank was ultimately more powerful than the smaller ones. They controlled currency, and it was useful in expanding the economy, though. But because it was a private institution, elitist investors had much power over financial affairs, which is really dumb because all they wanted was a profit. They didn't care it was good for the people. And in the West, the bank foreclosed many farms, again, because it was more profitable to do so. And its first priority, again, was profit, not public service. Henry Clay proposed amendments to the bank's charter renewal 4 years early to make it an election issue. That way it would show up in the election, the upcoming one in 1832. And if he had rushed this bill through, Jackson would lose the presidency because the West did not want the bank. So if he accepted the bill, then he would he'd piss off people in the West and he'd lose all that support. But if he vetoed the bill, he'd piss off the wealthy people in the East who did support the bank. There was one problem with Clay's plan, though. He didn't realize that the wealthy best people, in quotes, are a minority who fear Jackson anyhow. So Jackson slapped a fat veto on the bill, and this is a huge precedent because almost all other vetoes were based on the Constitution. This time, it was on Jackson's own opinion. He believed that the Bank of the United States was not necessary and it was not beneficial to the people, so he slapped that fat veto on it. So you need to know on the AP exam the specific word. Old Hickory walloped Clay in 1832. Third party formed for the first time, known as the Anti-Masonic Party. Remember, the Anti-Masonic Party are against Masons. Masons were people of a secret order.
The Freemasons.
They were Freemasons. They were very wealthy,
What about Mason White?
influential. So these people opposed the fearsome secrecy of the Masonic order. Their beliefs were similar to those of the Jacksonians. They opposed monopolies and privileges of the upper class. But Jackson himself was a Mason, so anti-Masonic was also anti-Jackson.
Even though they agreed with
Anti-Masonic
all his ideals.
Yes, but they just hated him because yes. Anti-Masonic Party received support from Protestants as well, who were seeking to use political power to effect moral and religious reforms.
Okay.
Henry Clay and his Republican Party, his National Republican Party, received advantages. They had $50,000 from the Bank of the United States in life insurance funds, it's quotes, and Jackson won against Henry Clay 219-49 anyway, because he had huge support in the South and the West, as well as moderate support in New England and the middle colony of Pennsylvania. Am I going too fast?
You really are. I'm still on the Indian thing.
Yes, and what page is this?
I don't fucking know. I'm just reading my notebook.
Oh.
Chris,
Andrew's an 80 IQ. You're not supposed to take notes. You're just supposed to remember this shit because you're supposed to do this stuff on your own.
Dumbasses.
But I'm an idiot.
Chris, minus 80.
All right, let's talk. Okay, remember that the bank was trying to be saved by this guy named Nicholas Biddle. He was like one of the largest investors, and yeah. So this next chapter is called "Burying Biddle's Bank." Jackson rightfully feared Biddle would try to save the Bank of the United States, so he decided to stop federal funds from entering it, slowly bleeding the bank and ensuring its demise. Jackson had to hire new Treasury secretaries a few times to do this because the other ones were pussies, and him and his advisors refused to support his plan. But pet banks began to issue paper money that was unreliable and caused overspeculation of land in the West. And we had the specie circular implemented by Jackson, and it required all public lands to be purchased with metallic money, gold and silver coins. And this caused a financial panic in 1837. After Andrew Jackson was already gone, the next president would have to take it on. Remember, the next president is I forgot his name. Martin Van Buren. So the birth of
Is
the Whig
that the
Party.
hard cider guy?
Yes, we'll talk about him later. Just so you guys know, in the AP exam, you're allowed to use your textbook.
Oh, thanks.
Which edition?
13th or
No, no, no.
15th.
Whichever one you want.
Can
The
I
first
add my own
edition.
notes to it?
Yeah.
Or
Can I
If
just
you write,
take...
you write in your textbook, then I'm just fucking joking. You can't use the textbook.
no, that's unfortunate. Oh, hey, Jinx, you owe me a kiss.
No.
All right,
It's
let's
very
talk about the Whig
homework-y.
Party. Let's talk about the Whig Party. In 1828, the Jacksonian Democratic Republicans became known more simply as the Democrats. And in response to Jackson's iron fist rule, the Whigs were reborn. They opposed monarchy at earlier times. Remember the Whigs before they existed? And the Whigs were highly dysfunctional and disorganized initially. It started as a group in the Senate by Henry Clay, Daniel Webster. Henry Clay's honestly a god. He does everything.
Yeah. For real.
Henry Clay, Daniel Webster, and John C. Calhoun. To pass, yeah, it's a good thing. He did a lot, so he's resting in Cuba, right? In Tupac right now with Cuba. To
He
pass,
deserves it.
and these three made a motion to censor Jackson's removal of federal funds from the National Bank. And after, the Whigs quickly became a potent national political force, and they attracted other groups of people, many other groups. And Whigs were a progressive group, and they wanted liberal changes. They labeled themselves as conservative Republicans, but no, they were actually progressive and liberal.
Fucking.
So the election of
Faggots.
1836, Martin Van Buren, which is Jackson's VP, won this. Actually, no, the Whigs were smart. Liberals back then were good. Martin Van Buren, also known as Jackson's vice president, won this election against the Whigs. William Henry Harrison. That's all you need to know. Martin Van Buren won. So let's talk about big woes for the little magician. Little magician was Martin Van Buren, and he had a lot of problems that he inherited from Jackson.
Thanks,
Martin Van-
Obama. Am I right?
Yeah, fucking Obama. Martin Van Buren was an experienced politician and above average for education, and he also inherited Jackson's enemies and problems without inheriting his huge support and high approval. For example, he had to deal with 2 rebellions that broke out in Canada, his slavery crisis, which we'll get to later, and anti-slavery movements of the North, and he had prospective annexations of Texas, which we'll talk about later, and Jackson's whole bank issue too. So we had depression and independent treasury. So it began with the Panic of 1837. Basic cause was the rampant speculation prompted by a mania of get-rich-quickism. This was also caused by Jackson's specie circular, remember? And crop failures ravaged by the Hessian fly. The panic really happened under Jackson, but it didn't break out full-fledged until Van Buren. So he's the one that had to deal with it, and he's the one with the reputation for it. The British also needed financial support, which America gave, and this further induced a panic because they had less money. Every major American economic crisis has been affected by conditions abroad. As a result of the Panic of 1837, banks collapsed by the hundreds, and with them, federal funds. Sales of public lands fell off too, customs revenue fell, and factories closed down. And people became unemployed and they had no job. Because the employees, the factory closed down, you don't have a job anymore. Whigs proposed active government ideas. Van Buren, though, he was supporting Jackson's idea of keeping government out of the economy, and he rejected all the Whig ideas. He was a dumbass that would have definitely saved the country, but no. He's retarded. So instead, he introduced the controversial divorce bill. The government and banks are now separate. Supply of credit resources reduced, and government keeps its money and in its own vaults across the country. And the Whigs disliked this because they favored a national bank, so they wanted it. So yes, let's continue to the next section here. Let me flip my page. Okay, let's talk about Texas. Okay, go on to Texas. So recall America had given up on Texas in the Spanish, to the Spanish, in exchange for Florida. That's the Adams-Onis Treaty, I believe. Now they wanted more land, so they looked to Texas. They're like, wait a second. So the Spanish lost Texas to Mexicans who had won independence in 1821. Mexicans wanted to give land to Stephen Austin, and with the understanding that he would bring about 300 Roman Catholic American families and Mexicanize them. Americans remained American at heart, though, and the stipulations proposed were largely ignored. Texas pioneers were solid in their beliefs. Debates between Mexicans and Texans over constitutional issues arose. Mexicans imprisoned Stephen Austin, and Santa Anna raised a military in 1835 to wipe out the Texans. So, we had the Lone Star Rebellion. Sam Houston was appointed commander of this military that was going to Texas, and the Texan Rebellion for Independence from Mexico. That's what the Lone Star Rebellion was. So the battle at the Alamo.
Ooh, this is my favorite.
The Battle of the Alamo was significant because though they were viciously defeated, the Texans, Americans ran to support after. They're like, what the? All right, that's it. We're helping you now. Hee. So, Andrew, you're getting banned. So the same thing at the Battle of the Goliad. Americans laid down their arms and surrendered, but the Mexicans, being Mexicans, of course, still shot them anyway because they're a bunch of violent gangsters.
What am I getting?
I'm not banning you, joking. I'm joking.
Sorry.
Get fucking pranked.
So Santa Anna, okay, so here's what happened. These two battles fueled American support for Texan independence. That's what you need to know. The Goliad and the Alamo battle, okay? So Santa Anna was lured to San Jacinto, I don't know. And he was captured and forced to sign independence treaties. Later, he was like, what the? No, it's not fair because I had a gun to my head. Shut the fuck up, retard. So the Rio Grande River was recognized as the southern border of Texas. Texaco. I was literally just about to say Texaco. Texas. So here we go. Part 2 of this section. America by international. Okay, so here's what happened. So Texas was independent now and stuff, but America had problems. So America by international law was supposed to be neutral, but citizens didn't care. They wanted to support Texas. So even though they weren't supposed to, they still did. Texas wanted to enter the Union, but slavery issues made people hesitant. Okay? Do you guys all understand why? It's because if Texas entered the Union, people wouldn't know whether to make it a slave state or not. They would throw off the balance.
But slavery's bad.
Yeah, they're a bunch of racists. Alright guys, let's learn about log cabins and hard cider. So the Whigs now solidified their nominations behind one candidate. Remember, last time they didn't do that and they got fucked. So William Henry Harrison, here we go. That's what they did. And the dumb Democrats portrayed Harrison as a poor farmer.
Fucking tardos.
Oh yeah, as a poor farmer who was content with his cabin and his hard cider. They're like, oh, look at this guy, he's poor. And the Whigs were like, yes, he is poor. He's the common man. And the Whigs labeled Van Buren as an aristocrat. The truth was that Harrison was rich as shit, but that didn't matter when Jackson was president, and it wouldn't matter now. The Whigs wanted to stimulate the economy while Democrats favored an end to banks and monopolies. So they were basically, here's the whole hard cider thing. William Henry Harrison, they said was uneducated and poor and dumb. And he was just this poor guy, average guy. Why should he be president? And people were like, no, he's the average guy. That's exactly why. You know, he's poor. We should, of course, we'll support poor people. And they're like, damn, we really fucked up by that. So what you need to know, William Henry Harrison, he was a Whig, and he won because the Democrats were dumb.
What color wig?
I hope you crash your car.
Why is
You're-
Andrew muted?
Because Andrew's funny. We're not going to mute Andrew.
Are you sure?
Andrew, I hope
I
you
keep
get
thinking
into
that that's
April.
Shut up, we're almost done. Let's talk about politics of the people. We see now the beginnings of democracy and manhood suffrage, boys. More people are getting voting rights. Remember, voting rights had increased to 78%. Okay? We had 78% of people participating in the election of 28. Okay? That is so big. That is so good for the country. Or 24, I don't remember. But voting raised to 78%. Do you know how high that is? That's nearly 80%. Okay?
How high is that?
Nearly 80%. So more people are getting the right to vote. We had democratization happening in the U.S. Okay, I don't care if there was voter fraud. Okay, shut the fuck up. Well, remember there were less people back then too. Like way less people. Yeah, I know, but if you have 2 people, right? I'm just exaggerating. You have 2 people that are allowed to vote versus 100. Right? If you have one of those 2 people vote, that's 50%. If you have 50 out of the
Nice
100 people,
math.
that's also 50%.
How can you have 50% if there's only 2 people?
Andrew,
Math.
Andrew, you're getting banned.
No, stop!
He really fucked.
All right, so it's more democratic now. And essentially, the common man is the new idol and ideal figure. So it was basically moving away from the rich. The rich were no longer like super high. And so remember, the Federalists, they were like, oh no, we don't want to give people the right to vote because they're dumb, which is true. Did you know 16% of Americans think that brown cows produce chocolate milk? That's exactly why we have the Electoral College. So anyways, we need to know.
Wait,
Voting rights
Wait, it
They
voting
don't?
rights were still white males, but it's pretty much like all white males now. You know, property qualifications had been reduced, etc. So we had more people being able to vote. So let's talk about the 2-party system that happened now. The election of 1840 truly solidified the 2-party system. Whigs wanted to improve society and community and allowed the government to be used as a resource. The Democrats clung to states' rights, federal restraint in social and economic problems. Both parties, however, were alike in the same sense that their ultimate objective was to persuade voters and get people to join with them to push their own agenda. When the 2-party system began to break in the 1850s, the Union suffered. All right, boys, that's the whole chapter.
Okay, review questions.
Let's go drink. Let's go drink now. Hard cider with
All right, let's talk about the review questions. You guys want to do them or no?
yes.
Yeah.
C.
All right, number one.
Wait.
Number one is C.
Oh,
Wait, one is C.
Wait, hold on.
I don't have my textbook. I'm poor.
One is C.
One is C. Oh, yes, for sure.
Yes, I agree.
Michael?
Yeah.
Wait, I unplugged my headset.
Two is C.
Okay.
Two is A.
Wait, read out the question, please.
No.
No,
Two is definitely A.
you don't.
Oh, wait, it
deserve
might be
rights,
A.
you're black.
It's
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
A.
Is it A?
It's
Yeah, that sounds like the spoil system to me.
South Dakota land speculation in the West. No.
Yeah, I think it's A.
It says accept. It says accept.
Exactly.
What?
Did he do that?
Of course, he wanted South Dakota land speculation in the West, but he didn't want
Is there a
that.
difference
That
between John?
with existing officers of the political security.
Oh no, dude! What the fuck?
Definitely A.
Dude, Jackson did A, not Quincy Adams.
Yeah.
2C. Christian, Chris, do you have the book or no?
What does curb land speculation mean?
Suck my fat dick, Andrew.
What a review, like session. I think I should be helped.
Yeah.
No, but wasn't Jackson the one that did that?
That's why it would be accept, because he's not the one that did it.
A.
Oh yeah. No, but wait, did he curb land?
Big smart Michael.
Did yeah.
Didn't he curb? Wait, did he curb or no? That I like. Not okay.
I curve all the chicks.
It was Jackson. Okay.
He curb stomped
Okay, it's A then.
freaking
Alright.
child.
All right, 3.
A. B. I mean, my bad. B.
3. That's true. 3 is B.
Mm-hmm.
Well, B is not C.
In his famed book about the twin.
D. E.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are we on? 4.
Yeah.
Can you like make it all in one?
Not A.
In his famed book about his tour through America.
E.
Wait, are you on 4?
Wait, I never read about this book.
Yeah, I don't remember. Where is this a part of the?
Oh, I know what it's on that. It's on that one like green page that nobody fucking reads.
Yeah, the page that everybody skips over.
Are you sure it's E?
Pretty sure it's E. Like 9, like maybe good 70. 8.
You read it? Okay, I didn't read that page. Okay. it's
It's
E.
not on the test.
I didn't read it. It's already circled in my book. Every single
Yeah,
chapter.
freaking confirming.
What was the major significance of the spoil system as employed by Jackson?
C.
It enabled is A.
C.
Oh wait, C as well.
That was most significant. Well, the emerging two-party system.
Yeah,
And I'm-
because
it
having
embezzle?
him appoint new people is only.
It's not that significant.
It's not that significant long term.
The major
compared to
significance is
two
C.
parties.
Southerners hated the so-called terror abominations for all time. So, A is it's not A.
not
It's
B.
not B.
That's not C.
What are y'all on? 6?
Could be E. No, it's not E.
No,
D.
it's not E.
It's D.
Yeah.
Which one's this?
It's D. 6.
In
Wait, what was
simplest
five?
terms, the nullification crisis that began with South Carolina in 1828 describes.
A.
B.
C.
It was.
C.
I'm guessing B.
7
No,
is
B. B. It has to be B.
And it's B.
Andrew. Why is it B?
Wait, no, I'm stupid. It says accept. Hold on.
You want to stop yelling out random letters?
I think
No,
it's
What was the
F.
Cherokee strategy for giving?
G.
I think it was E.
B.
E.
F.
Combination.
I think it's A.
I think it's.
Yeah, it goes.
Oh wait, no. Wait, it was assimilation.
Yeah. B.
Those.
Accommodation.
All right, next.
Is that
Wait, what was it?
PDs and land seals? Right, it wrote when they did account. Oh, I don't know pronounce it, but
What is
Nine
8?
C.
because let me do like so wait, 9 is C.
What the fuck? Y'all already on 9?
It's not C. No, we're on 8.
Yes, it is. 9 is C.
We're not on
not
9
on
though.
nine. We're on H. So me.
Oh, 8. Oh, 8 is B. 8 is B.
How do we know it's B and
It's not
not?
voluntary. It's not.
I gotta go. I'll
I
see you
think
guys.
it's R.
Okay, let's just go over it. A, that's
A.
no, not A, right?
TBH, I think it's 3.
9? 9 is definitely C.
9 is
Fucking
definitely
got 9. Did we even establish 8?
yeah, it's B.
How's it B?
Oh my.
Did you read the chapter?
No, not really.
All right, then.
Okay, then stop arguing for a point that you don't even back up.
Number 10.
And is I'd say E.
10?
Yeah, because which of these was not among not? He didn't went over wealthy, but no, that was not among. Not
An
one.
artist created a painting of a fetus using her
The
period
rest-
blood over
the
9
rest
months
all
and called it.
opinion
10 is E. 10 is E.
Yeah, the rest of all.
Um,
So E has to be the only one that's not opinion one.
That sounds very disturbing.
Yes.
Why do you-
Extremely.
You do not need to share
is
this.
11 D?
11 is
David.
A. I thought.
What'd you get
11
off
is
mine,
A,
David?
maybe.
Begin the tradition of nominated conventions. Demonstrating the pilot. I mean, doesn't really demonstrate. How does it demonstrate the power though?
David, what'd you know?
12 was.
Yeah, because it get rich quickly.
Yeah, 12 is B.
Next revolution independence pose a. E?
I have to poo.
Okay,
Go.
Wait, do
Michael.
I have to know how John Quincy?
Yeah, I'm not even contributing, so you guys can figure out these without me. I'm gonna go poo.
Wait, do I have to
Michael.
know how? Wait, guys, do I have to know about how John Quincy Adams sometimes went on morning swims naked in the Potomac River?
Yes.
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 It's very important.
Spanish. Tyler,
Yes.
did you study for Spanish?
A little. I'm gonna fail that test.
Shut up. What do you study?
What?
You're not gonna fail. You say you're gonna fail and get an A. What did you study?
I just studied the packet that you said.
Is that-
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean,
When is Anne Frank gonna be in the chat? Not gonna lie, Anne Frank hot.
the only thing that's really gonna screw me over is if they pick like words that have like really odd subjunctive.
Yo, bro, like, how do you know if they're regular or not?
You don't.
Exactly.
You have to
Oh,
memorize it.
Yeah, that's what they said, but it's like what?
There's so many irregulars. How are you gonna memorize all of them?
That's just what it be sometimes, and that's just what it be.
Mhm.
Rest in peace,
Jason.
Avicii.
Jason Gugamos.